Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you search outside yourself pursuing achievements, possessions, or others' approval, something vital still seems to be missing? I once spoke with a friend who spent years seeking validation through countless external sources, only to discover that the clarity and assurance she longed for were, astonishingly, already in her heart. This moment of realization reminds me deeply of a Buddhist teaching. The greatest treasures often lie hidden in the places we least think to look, in this case, within our own minds and spirits. According to the Buddha, each of us holds the seeds of awakening and fulfillment. Yet so many of us roam far and wide, convinced that happiness or worthiness must come from external solutions. When we learn that genuine peace, resilience, and even joy can spring forth from our inner resources, a subtle but extraordinary shift takes place. Instead of chasing after constant distractions or approvals, we begin to recognize that we are the keepers of a wealth more valuable than any glittering gem. Today, I want to share a story about a hidden jewel literally buried in plain sight, which illustrates how we often overlook our truest source of strength. In the same way my friend discovered her own reservoir of confidence, this parable teaches that life repeatedly nudges us to look inward instead of outward. Through this simple yet powerful tale, we will delve into how Buddhist wisdom guides us to uncover the gems already residing in our hearts. Along the way, I invite you to reflect on your own inner gifts, questioning whether you have given yourself permission to notice them. Open your mind to the possibility that you are richer than you realize, that perhaps everything you need has been quietly waiting for your acknowledgement. May this message spark in you a gentle awakening, allowing you to see that beneath the layers of doubt and distraction, a precious jewel lies ready to illuminate your path. Imagine a quiet village where people scoured distant lands in search of wealth, convinced that their fortunes lay far beyond the familiar. Among them stood a modest farmer, unaware that a priceless gem was buried right under his own humble fields. Day after day, he ventured outward, hoping to find the key to prosperity. Yet the very treasure he pursued rested silently on the land he already possessed. This story, like the experience of my friend who spent years chasing external validation, reveals how we often miss our greatest potential because we look everywhere except within. From a Buddhist perspective, our innate capacities resemble that hidden gem, unseen and underappreciated, yet immensely valuable. The Buddha taught that each of us holds the seeds of enlightenment in our own hearts. The challenge is to unearth these riches by clearing away the layers of doubt, comparison, and distraction that obscure our view. If we spend our energy only seeking solutions in others' achievements or in fleeting material gains, we risk overlooking the powerful resources quietly waiting to be acknowledged in our own minds. The farmer's hidden gem, unnoticed beneath his everyday surroundings, underscores this tendency to undervalue what is closest to us. I recall another instance, much like my friend's situation. when I myself was searching outside for a sense of direction. In truth, the clarity I sought was buried beneath my own uncertainties. Only when I paused and looked inward, embracing the Buddha's suggestion to investigate the mind, did I realize I had been carrying the answers all along. This acknowledgement not only gave me renewed confidence but also a sense of liberation, knowing that I did not have to keep searching for the next distraction or external stamp of approval. Let this farmer's story encourage you to turn inward and reflect on what hidden strengths or insights you may be overlooking. Perhaps there is a skill you have hesitated to share, or a deep reservoir of resilience you have yet to trust. The Buddhist teachings affirm that once we quiet the noise of constant seeking, we discover we already have the resources we need to face life's challenges. Like the gem beneath familiar ground, the treasures within you may be waiting patiently for your recognition. The path forward involves peeling back layers of self-doubt, leaning into mindfulness, and honoring the spark of potential that is yours, and yours alone. Embrace this lesson and see how it can illuminate a powerful truth. Everything you need to flourish and transcend your limitations is already inside, ready for you to bring it into the light. Have you ever spent countless hours, or even years, searching for something that always seemed just out of reach, only to discover one day that it was near you all along, hidden like a buried treasure beneath your own daily life? The Buddha gently teaches that we each possess profound inner resources, waiting quietly for us to notice them. Through the story of a farmer unknowingly living on land that conceals a precious gem, we see how easily we can overlook the extraordinary potential we already carry. By examining this story and applying it to our own lives, we learn that true confidence, clarity, and insight often arise not from external sources but from the depths of our own minds. In my conversations with friends and peers, I frequently encounter people who feel restless or unfulfilled. Some chase recognition through their careers. Others collect accolades or possessions, hoping that each new acquisition will complete the puzzle of their happiness. They resemble the farmer who believed better fortune lay somewhere else, never suspecting that an immense treasure lay buried in his very own fields. Much like the farmer's search, these efforts provide momentary excitement but seldom grant lasting peace. As soon as the novelty fades, new doubts appear. The Buddha reminds us to pause at such times, to investigate whether we are overlooking the core of our being, a reservoir of capabilities and understanding that no external item can replicate. Often, the only thing standing between us and the discovery of that buried gem is our own self-doubt or unwillingness to turn inward. We might believe that answers can only come from experts, authority figures, or the next self-help book. Though receiving guidance can be beneficial, the Buddha's perspective underscores that any genuine insight must ultimately resonate with our inner truth. Without this alignment, External solutions may bring short-lived relief at best. The story of the farmer resonates here. Had he chosen to doubt the notion that he himself possessed what he needed, he might have continued endlessly searching beyond his fields and never uncovered the gem that lay right underfoot. It is crucial to remember that discovering this inner gem is not a passive event. It demands that we adopt mindfulness and reflection. The farmer, upon hearing a rumor or a hint of buried treasure, or perhaps recalling an old inheritance from his family, needed to actively examine his fields before finding the wealth within them. In the same spirit, the Buddha encourages us to develop a calm, focused mind through meditation or quiet introspection, so we can see our potential with clarity and avoid being blinded by distraction or self-doubt. Through simple, consistent practices like taking 5 minutes each morning to center yourself, or journaling about your thoughts and feelings each evening, you peel back the layers that keep you from recognizing your inner capabilities. Another essential piece is nurturing self-compassion. When we discover that our self-doubt has led us astray, or when we realize we have spent years seeking outwardly what we already possessed, frustration can arise. It is easy to feel regret for the time we perceive as lost, or to blame ourselves for not waking up sooner. However, the Buddha teaches that all experiences, even our misguided searches, hold lessons that shape our journey. By extending kindness toward yourself in these moments, you transform regret into appreciation for the valuable insight you have gained. That newly unearthed gem is no less radiant just because it stayed hidden for so long. Rather, it may shine even brighter now that you realize its true worth. A further step involves sharing the fruits of your discovery with others. Imagine how the farmer might have reacted upon finding that precious stone in his field. Initially astonished, perhaps tempted to keep its secret out of pride or fear. Yet, there is another path, one aligned with the Buddhist principle of compassion. By generously using his newfound resources to help his community, the farmer could multiply the positive effects of his treasure, reflecting the interdependent nature of our lives. When we uncover strengths within ourselves, be they creativity, empathy, or perseverance, and then share those strengths for the well-being of others, we shift from personal gain to collective upliftment. This sense of common humanity is precisely what the Buddha advocated, recognizing that our growth can become a source of support and encouragement for everyone we encounter. We might also wonder, if everything I need is already within me, what is the role of teachers, mentors, or spiritual guides? From the Buddhist perspective, guides can awaken our awareness, pointing us toward the buried gem. Their insight, gleaned from their own experiences and practices, highlights the path we might otherwise miss. Yet, none of these external aids can replace the personal work of digging into our inner field, which remains our sacred responsibility. Ultimately, as the farmer had to pick up a spade and unearth the treasure himself, we too must engage in conscious self-exploration to reveal the gifts resting in our minds. Perhaps you are wondering where to begin. The simplest approach might be consistent introspection. Schedule regular intervals, once a day or a few times a week, to pause and examine your thoughts, emotions, and inner voice with kindness and curiosity. Another way could involve journaling about your daily experiences, your fears, and your small triumphs, observing patterns that point to strengths or insights you overlook. Most important is adopting the perspective that your mind, at its core, is not empty or lacking. It holds the seeds of potential waiting to sprout, rather than assuming you must. Always look outward for purpose. Trust that a grand part of it already resides in you, like a pearl hidden by the sand. Finally, bear in mind that uncovering your inner wealth rarely happens all at once. It unfolds much like a slow excavation, each scoop of dirt representing a limiting belief or a negative self-image you gradually release. The more you clear away illusions, and the more you trust your innate wisdom, the closer you get to unveiling that jewel. Even if the process seems long or challenging, the Buddha reminds us that the journey itself is rich with learning. Each moment you spend cultivating mindfulness and self-acceptance is a step closer to the precious gem you seek, and each step sheds a little more light on your authentic nature. In this recognition, you become both the farmer and the treasure, both the seeker and the source. Embrace this reality with an open heart. The day you truly understand that everything you need has been within you all along, you tap into a reservoir of confidence and clarity beyond what you once believed possible. No longer compelled to wander in endless search, you stand on the very ground that holds your hidden fortune, ready to bring it forth into the light of your everyday life. Picture yourself at a crossroads in life, feeling uncertain yet determined to find your true strength. Recall the story of the farmer who, unbeknownst to him, lived above a precious gem that could have changed his fortunes if only he had looked beneath the familiar ground he trod each day. Often, we act like that farmer, searching near and far for external solutions while overlooking the hidden value that already rests in our hearts. According to the Buddhist teachings, each person holds innate wisdom and resilience, like a gem waiting to be unearthed. Yet illusions of inadequacy, or the belief that answers lie outside, can overshadow our perspective. Today, let us explore practical ways to discover and trust the inner resources we frequently dismiss, thereby embracing a more authentic and liberated way of living. The Buddha encouraged us to examine the mind as the origin of both suffering and liberation. When we cling to the idea that we must pursue recognition, wealth, or approval to feel whole, we inadvertently shackle ourselves to what the Buddhist texts refer to as tanta, a craving that perpetually leaves us unsatisfied. Reflecting on the story of the hidden gem, we see how the farmers spent time and energy looking elsewhere for prosperity. He could not fathom that unimaginable wealth might lie under his own field because he was attached to the notion that value resides beyond his everyday surroundings. In a similar manner, we allow illusions, like believing we are unworthy, unprepared, or lacking in essential traits, to prevent us from delving inward and discovering the dormant strengths that define our essence. A key step to dissolving these illusions is cultivating mindfulness. The Buddha taught that through consistent observation of our thoughts and emotions, we peel back the layers of self-doubt that obscure our inner gem. By devoting even 10 minutes a day to conscious breathing or reflective journaling, we become more attuned to the patterns guiding our behavior. We might notice negative self-talk or a tendency to compare our perceived shortcomings with others' achievements. Once recognized, these habits lose some of their grip. We can begin to pivot from destructive self-judgment to compassionate self-awareness. Each mindful pause becomes an opportunity to realize that, just like the farmer's soil concealing the gem, our minds hold potential we have yet to acknowledge. Moreover, compassion both for ourselves and for others plays a pivotal role in this journey. Too often, people believe they must adopt a rigid, highly critical approach to spark improvement. Yet, from the Buddha's perspective, harshness erects walls of fear, whereas compassion fosters openness and growth. When you treat your limitations with kindness rather than frustration, you free up emotional energy to address them. This mirrors the moment the farmer might have begun gently digging on his property, curious rather than frustrated. In that gentle excavation, the gem is eventually uncovered. In daily life, you can practice by noticing when self-critical thoughts arise and replacing them with a more understanding tone. Reminding yourself, I am in the process of revealing my deeper capacities. Another aspect to consider is the value of seeking supportive guidance, as long as it complements rather than replaces your personal exploration. Sometimes, the farmer may have heard legends or rumors pointing him toward the hidden gem. Likewise, you might read, listen, or learn from various teachers and traditions. The Buddha emphasized skillful means, indicating that the right advice or perspective can act as a catalyst for your discovery. Yet no external voice can grant you a permanent solution if you resist unearthing your own potential. Ultimately, it is your mindful engagement, your spade in the soil, that reveals the treasure of your unique capabilities. Embracing this principle in practical terms could mean re-examining your daily routine, your ongoing projects, or your career aspirations through the lens of authenticity, rather than chasing someone else's measure of success. Align your endeavors with your innate talents and heartfelt goals. If an activity consistently depletes your spirit rather than enriching it, consider whether it aligns with your true nature. Just as the farmer's land contained the key to his prosperity, your mind, personality, and passions may hold the building blocks of a fulfilling, purposeful life. Trusting that everything you need resides within does not imply dismissing external help. It suggests that genuine synergy happens when outside support harmonizes with your internal direction. Additionally, you can approach unforeseen challenges with faith that your inner resources are sufficient to meet them, drawing inspiration from the idea that you are not lacking. The Buddha taught that ignorance, or avidya, obscures our understanding of self. Illusions may whisper that we are too frail, too ordinary, or too flawed. The story of the farmer's hidden gem reminds us this is not so. If we can cast aside illusions and begin to look more deeply at our thoughts, we will find creative resilience, compassion, and unwavering determination waiting to be channeled. These qualities do not need to be fabricated or forcibly invented. They arise naturally when we trust in our capacity and step forward with mindful intention. Ultimately, the lesson of the hidden gem is one of empowerment rather than complacency. By turning inward, you transform yourself from a passive seeker into an active discoverer. Instead of wondering if you will ever find the motivation or insight to progress, you remember that such motivation and insight can flow from within. In a sense, you become your own guide, shaped by the Buddha's compassionate teachings, yet deeply attuned to the personal path only you can walk, though the world may suggest otherwise, encouraging you to rely solely on external validations or acquisitions. The path illuminated by Buddhist wisdom is simpler, subtler, and more liberating. It tells you that beneath the doubts, beneath the daily grind, there is a wealth of clarity waiting to be claimed. By acknowledging and celebrating this, you step into a future defined not by uncertainty and longing, but by the steady confidence that arises from understanding who you are, someone who has all they need already within them. Have you ever noticed how, when you pause for a moment of quiet reflection, something shifts deep within, reminding you of an unspoken potential? The story of the farmer who lived above a hidden gem echoes the Buddha's guidance that we already possess the seeds of transformation in our hearts. We may search far and wide, chasing accomplishments, longing for recognition, yet the truest source of confidence and clarity often rests silently beneath our daily lives. When we stop and look inward with compassion and openness, we begin to recognize that our potential has not been missing. It has simply waited for our acknowledgement. At times, you might feel tempted to rely on external measures of success, or let doubt convince you that someone else's path is the only way to find meaning. The Buddhist teaching emphasizes that true liberation arises when you awaken to your own capacity for wisdom. This principle is not about shutting out the world or refusing guidance. It is about realizing that no mentor, friend, or achievement can supply you with a permanent sense of worth if you have not yet unearthed the treasures within yourself. No matter how many accolades or possessions you accumulate, genuine fulfillment remains elusive unless you trust the wellspring already in your mind and heart. If this reflection resonates with you, remember the farmer's moment of discovery, an event that seemed inconceivable until he looked beneath the surface of what he assumed was ordinary. Likewise, a simple shift of perspective can illuminate qualities or insights you once overlooked. By embracing the Buddhist perspective that you carry infinite potential within, you learn to stand confidently in your own being, neither dependent on constant external approval nor blind to the gifts you hold. Each step on this path brings you closer to living in alignment with your innate wisdom, unveiling a life guided by mindful purpose and genuine contentment. Let that truth inspire you to keep exploring and trusting the well of possibility already resting inside. If this message has resonated with you and sparked a sense of possibility in uncovering the hidden strengths within, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to my channel. By doing so, you join a community devoted to drawing out our innate wisdom and uplifting one another through mindful perspectives. Your support helps us continue creating content that inspires growth and fosters the deep confidence that, like the farmer's hidden gem, everything you truly need already resides within you.